Hi everyone, welcome to Sunya IAS. In this lecture, we will discuss the next part of your Modern Indian History series. I hope you guys are doing great. And in today's lecture, we need to discuss something which was before the revolt of 1857. So here we need to understand two most important points. First is that there is a similar beginning. So the causes are always same. Like if I ask you that why tribals revolt, generally it is just because of the forest resources. Because tribals, they love forest area, they live in it, right? And if you do any destruction to the forest area or if you capture their land, then only they will revolt. Otherwise, they'll create no issues. So whenever we'll see these tribal uprisings or people's resistance against the company rule means EIC, East India Company's rule. So you'll see that there is a similar beginning. Okay, same problems used to be there in all the uprisings, in all the tribal revolts and people uprising. You will see similar things are there. If you'll talk about the civil uprisings again, similar causes will come, and similar ending is there. That at the end, Britishers defeated everyone, and they suppressed each and every revolt. So you'll see that all of them got defeated by the Britishers because, of course, Britishers had better weapons and equipments with them. A better organization was there, and they always had a supportive army to be in the backup. So they could always win the wars, revolts, or battles, or any kind of uprisings if there are anything like that. So what I have done, I have made these tables for you. In these tables, we have divided it in a very timely manner that it should be understood by you. It is very, very important that you remember the important keywords. So everywhere general understanding is going to be there. Even if you read it in the book, there are so many tribal revolts and uprisings that you'll just end up wasting your time in reading so many unnecessary datas, and each and every uprising is not important for exam. So all the important uprisings I have given for you. However, if you say about the book, or if you want any suggestion, then I'll just give you a very small suggestion here, that it's just a piece of advice that this chapter is something which you should read by yourself once, but you don't need to mug up it. Okay, for revision this class is enough, and for understanding and to crack all the questions in exam, this is fine. But if you want extra understanding and extra knowledge, if you're a person who is having a very cumulative thinking to read things in a very detailed way, then I suggest you to read this chapter by yourself, because taking it here in this live class would make it a very long session, and making a very long session of 6-7 hours, having it live on YouTube, would be not very beneficial for us. That's why I have just concised the material for you in this tabular format. Do you like these tables? I hope you are able to see and you can get few ideas that what exactly is going to be there today. And in case you have any doubts from the last class, please let me know. If there is anything you want to discuss, kindly tell me. Yes. Okay. Good evening, guys. Yes, good evening. Fine. So I don't see any questions till now, but still, if you guys are having something, you can discuss that with me. Okay. So let's start. First of all, guys, the most important point is that you understand the topic. Understanding of the topic will give you a 50% of win-win situation here, because well begin is half done. So try to start it in a very good way. What exactly are you studying here? You are trying to understand few tribal uprisings and revolts before the revolt of 1857. Okay, before. So first of all, understand how the scenario was there in our country before the revolt of 1857. After 1857, there was a nationalism coming in India, and we had many political associations like, we got a level of platform in which so many sabhas used to be there, like Pune Sarvajanik Sabha was there, and so many associations started uh, creating awareness, okay, among the masses and spreading awareness among the masses. So people got inspired and aware after this revolt of 1857, and with that awareness the EIC will be there, and then we will see that EIC will have a clash with Indian National Congress, INC. So here, tribal revolts or people's resistance against the company rule. Company means EIC, East India Company rule. Here, people means everyone, generally people. But there is a division among these people, like tribal people or general civilians, mainstream society who are living in a mainstream society, or people coming from any northeast area who are having their own resources and they have their own language and culture. So, what kind of people? Okay, and what sort of issues were there? So, first point is tribal uprising. So, tribals at that time, before the revolt of 1857, the scenario was that Britishers wanted to capture the resources, but they had not initiated any firm act or a division in a forest area. Like, let's say this is a reserved forest area, so nobody could enter in this area. If it is a village area, then villagers can live here and then they can collect the woods, fruits, and other forest. Things like that. If it is not in any reserved and a village area, then it is a general land of the forest department. Here, even if you want to get something or enter anywhere, you need to have some permissions from the government. So these are the rules. They applied these rules more strictly after the revolt of 1857. Okay, EIC applied these rules, but before the revolt of 1857, they didn't apply the rules strictly, but they focused more on penetrating inside the tribal area, confiscating the lands illegally, and making tribals, somehow dependent on the EIC, dependent on the East India Company. Why? Because see, tribal people, they are not just self sufficient, but they are so self aware and they have a good understanding of nature that they are able to create best of the best medicines, oils, cosmetics, and so many things within those forest premises, and with those limited natural resources they could do it. Even today they are doing it, right? But nowadays you must have seen that Ayurveda and Ayurvedic things, organic things, and these things are getting very popular because we have social media and influencers who popularize these brands having any organic touch in it, or if it is very healthy green, so we get a kind of attraction to it. But at that time, when tribal people used to have a lot of things and skills to make these things, the social media, that communication, that transportation was not there, and Britishers wanted these resources. Like, they knew that if beekeeping needs to be done in this area, then only these tribal people can do. If we want to have this kind of coconut rearing, then only these tribal people can do. Or if we want this kind of oil, then only these people can extract it for us. So there was this understanding that these tribal people can come under our influence, and if we can have some negotiations and contracts with them, it would be greatly beneficial. So this was the first point. Second, of course, the land and timber. Land and timber was very important. Third point was the tax. Let's see, if government wants to tax you, then you need to be a stable person, right? And you should have a source of income also. Then only government can tax you. Now the problem is that tribal people, they move here and there. and so many nomadic tribes are there. They don't settle down, right? They follow this theme of never settle very seriously, and they move from here to there with their animals according to the change in the seasons and the patterns. They just move. When they are moving and not getting stabilized in a place, and if they are not making a stable permanent house, then you won't know their whereabouts, and then you can't ask them to follow the rules, because they don't follow things, they don't follow a general mainstream society, as they are living as per their own wish. So they are open to go wherever they want. Now government started restricting them, that no, you should not move like this. If you are doing shifting cultivation, that is not right. So as government wanted to tax them, government wanted them to follow the law and order and make them permanent. Like Santhals, English East India Company, they considered Santhals as the best tribe. Why? Because they were permanent. They never, followed any nomadic kind of lifestyle. That's why Santhals used to be favorite of East India Company people. Now, these are few problems which I have discussed with you. Let's start with the first one, which is in 1770s. So, in 1776, we saw that there was a Chuar uprising. Chuar uprising, Chuar is the name of the tribal group. Now, as I have discussed few similar, uh, you know, causes and features and reasons with you, you need to just understand that it is going to be applied in each and every part of this table. Like the way those statements which I just gave you in the starting, they are fit in each and every scenario in all these uprisings, because these are all those points were the common causes. Okay, so that's why understand that if tribal land is getting confiscated, if the forest resource is getting disturbed, or if there is a general disturbance in the lifestyle of the tribal people, in the cultural style of the tribal people, then they will revolt. Okay, so they always revolted due to these reasons only. And so many outsiders, money lenders, Hindu money lenders, Christian missionaries, they entered in the tribal areas to convert them, which was again a very problematic thing. If you talk about the Hindu money lenders, they entered there because they started giving taxes, not taxes, but they started giving money and some amount to these tribal people, in exchange of a contract or a land or something. And sometimes they used to take the land on collateral, and they used to confiscate it illegally, because people were not very educated at that time. They never had the idea to calculate things, so that's why they were fooled every time, again and again. Okay, even if they had paid everything, all the rents, all the dues, then still they were, getting that burden of loan on them, and the installments were taken by these money lenders illegally. So illegal dues were extracted. That's why. Now understand, here in the Chuar area, it was again organized by the original tribesmen of Midnapur, and it was against the land revenue demand. Okay, land revenue demands and the economic distress. Now here these tribal people, they were paying the land revenue. Now the land revenue used to get increased every time. Okay, time to time it used to be increased. So these people, they had this problem that we don't have a source of income, we are not that rich, and you are just increasing the tax. That's not right. So that's why here, they organize this revolt, and you will see that at the end, in the end or at the end, Britishers will suppress these uprisings. So they suppress the Chuar uprising also. But in the prelims, if they'll ask you, they'll only ask you the cause of the uprising and the area or the year in a tabular form, or in the match the following way, they can ask you. Now, next is 1778. In the year 1778, we had Pahadiya's rebellion. And in the Pahadiya's rebellion, the leader was Raja Jagannath. Raja Jagannath, just remember this, okay, who led the Pahadiyas. And these Pahadiyas, they were from Raj Mahal Hills. Again, they were against the British expansion of their land, because Britishers, they followed the expansionist policies. They were imperialist in their nature, and that's why they wanted to expand and go more and more. And that's the reason why these people had problems. Now let's come to the next one. Next is the year 1818 to 1831 and 1913. So here the tribal uprising was the Bhil uprising, okay, and it was in the Western Ghats against the company's rule, formed the Bhil Raj, okay. Now understand that in the Western Ghat area, this is the key word which you need to remember, that in the Western Ghat area we had Bhil uprising, and it was against the company's rule. Okay, they wanted to have a Bhil Raj. Like about the Birsa Munda, you must be knowing if you have read the class 8th NCERT, they wanted to have a Munda Raj, right? So Bhagwan Birsa Munda was fighting for it, but he could not establish it. However, we will talk about him also in the Jharkhand area when he was there, but this is very similar to the Bhil uprising. Here again you will see that they reorganized again in 1913 under Govind Guru to fight for Bhil Raj. So remember the name Govind Guru, very very important for prelims. Okay, I hope you're getting the points. Yes guys, good evening guys, good evening. Please like the session, please like it, and please share also, because this is the second week of this Spectrum lecture series, and here we are doing the modern Indian history in a very detailed way. And I am trying to, give you the most important keywords confiscated in a very short and small live lesson. So that's why you must appreciate the effort and try to share it, so that our team is always ambitious and motivated to bring such courses for you. Now, if we talk about the next one, it was in 1820. From 1820 to 37, it was a long period of time, because in between, our leader here in the Ho and Munda uprising, Bhagwan Birsa Munda, he got arrested. Okay, and that's why he spent few years in jail. But when he came back, he again started the uprising. But then he died due to cholera, so that's why this Ho and Munda uprising was faded out. Now, so it was by the Ho tribe. Ho tribes were led by Raja Parhat in Singhbhum, and in Chota Nagpur region also, in they were against the new farming revenue policy. Okay, and this later became the Munda rebellion by Bhagwan Birsa Munda. So if you have read the class 8 NCERT, if you have read it or not, tell me. Tell me honestly, how many of you have completed class 8th NCERT? There are two books in class 8th NCERT, if you know. There are two books. So how many books have you completed? First of all, tell me that. And if you have completed both the books, comment down, so that I'll be knowing that how many of you have this knowledge of Munda uprising. So Ho and Munda was that Ho tribals started it, led by Raja Parhat in Singhbhum and Chota Nagpur region against the new farming revenue policy, and it later became the rebellion. Fine. Now let's come to the next year, from 1822 to 29. Here Ramosi uprising was there by Ramosi tribals of Western Ghats. Again, Western Ghats we have, and it was again under a very important leader, under Chittur Singh. So remember this name, Chittur Singh. It was against the British occupation of the region, because Britishers were trying to expand and they wanted to occupy their lands. In 1829, we had a Koli uprising, and these three tribal people, they were from Gujarat and Maharashtra, and they revolted against the company control. The unique feature is that they revolted again and again, and they tried for a lot, like in 1829 and then in 1839, again in 1844 to 48. So they revolted again and again. That's why this is very very important. Kolis in the Gujarat and Maharashtra. Fine. Now next is 1832. 1832 Coal Rebellion. Okay, Coal Rebellion. This rebellion, it was the tribal people of Chota Nagpur, and by them it started with the leader Buddho Bhagat. Very very important. Buddho Bhagat, and he revolted against Britishers and money lenders. I suggest you to watch this video in a audio mode or repetitively, different with different revision phases of your study timetable, as in this particular lecture I am discussing the date, names, leaders, and the purpose of revolt, which is important for prelims, extremely important. And if you will try to read it and understand it right now at just a glance, it would be of no use. But if you will listen to this lecture again and again, it would be there in your mind, and with multiple listenings and revisions, it will be staying with you till the date of exam, and then only it would be useful, because so many revolts are there that it may confuse you in the bookish language. Now come to the next one. From 1837 to 56, 1837 to 56 was the uprising by the Khond rebellion. Okay, Khond rebellion, they were the tribal people from the Tamil Nadu, and from Tamil Nadu to Bengal, the hilly areas are there. So, in this entire hilly region, these tribal people, they came together. They were led by Chakra Bisonoi, okay, Chakra Bisoi basically, and they revolted against the interference of tribal customs and the imposition of new taxes. Here, you need to just understand that unique point about each and every tribal revolt is sometimes they are against the land expansionist policies of Britishers. Sometimes it is just because of their tribal culture and insecurity. Sometimes it is because of unemployment. Sometimes it is because of something else. So every time the different reason was there, and sometimes you will see that these tribal people, they had a very high and heavy level of battle, but many of times they got defeated and suppressed. One more point is that all those points which I discussed with you in the beginning of the lecture, like their tribal lifestyle and other disturbances, that is common in all of them. That's why I'm not repeating it again and again. Assume that it is always there with these tribal people. Those concerns were always there. Like, it is going to be there with everyone. Like, for example, if I make you understand this with just one thing, in your daily life you see that when we talk about feminism or feministic approach, you must be getting this point every time in your mind, that we live in a patriarchal society. So generally we hear this again and again, that in India we have a patriarchal society. Patriarchal, this word is there, Purush Pradhan, Purush Sattatmak. So this is a general thing, okay? So due to this particular point of patriarchal society or this mindset, many of the women, they go through a lot of challenges in their daily life. So those challenges are common and similar in each and every case with all the women, right? With all the ladies it is same, with all the girls it is same. So it is going to be there with everyone. So that's why it is always there. So when I talk about those tribal uprisings, you need to understand the tribal uprising, there are common problems, forest related problems, land related problems, conversion problems. It was already there, right? So that's why I'm not repeating it. But if something new is there, if a unique point is there, then I'll highlight it as a keyword, and that's why this table is there with you. Okay, you can also make a table like this, like after doing third fourth revision about this particular point of civil uprising, tribal uprising, or if any other chapter is there in which you get confused about remembering the data name and topics like that, then you can just make a flowchart like this. Okay, it's very easy to make, but it can come with the practice. Now come to the next one. Year is 1868, and here we had Naikada movement. Naikada movement was a tribal movement from Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. It was against the Britishers and the caste Hindus. Okay, why? Because I told you that so many Hindu money lenders and Hindus, they used to enter in this area, and they wanted to establish Dharmaraj here. Okay, so that's why these tribal uprisings got started, because they wanted to have their own tribal culture, their own dharma, their own custom, and it got somehow disturbed by Hindus and Britishers. So these people in Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat started this tribal uprising. Fine. Okay. Now come to the next one from 1870s. 1870s, Khadwa rebellion was there. Tribal people of Bihar led by Bhagirath Manjhi against revenue settlement activities. It was started. In 1867, we had Bhuyan and Juang rebellion. Okay, 1867. Tribes of Keonjhar, Odisha, they revolted twice, and you can see that they revolted in 1867 and then they again revolted in 1891. So you see that this is the time period when we will get the Congress in India, and Congress leaders initially they followed moderate policies, but later they got associated with tribal problems also, and they started raising tribal issues also. However, you will see that never a mass uprising is there on an initial stage, but with the extremist phase on the later stage, we will get to know that a lot of mass uprisings are going to be there, and tribal concerns would be raised. In 1899 to 1900, we again saw that Munda rebellion was there. This time it was again by Birsa Munda. So Birsa Munda is also known as Bhagwan Birsa Munda. Why? Because the people in these tribal areas, they thought that Birsa Munda is having mysterious powers, okay, magical powers, supernatural powers with him. So people used to follow him, they used to worship him, and that's why he's considered like a Bhagwan. That's why the word Bhagwan, Bhagwan Birsa Munda. Okay, so tribals of Chota Nagpur area revolted under Birsa Munda against the Dikus. Dikus means outsiders. Okay, now come to the next one. Year 1879 to 80. In 1879 to 80, we saw Koya uprising. Okay, now again you will see this area is different. So these are the people from eastern Godavari region. Okay, and they were led by Tomma Sora and Raja Anantayar. Okay, these two leaders are important. Just remember Tomma Sora and Raja Anantayar revolted against the police and moneylenders, because sometimes police on the name of security disturbed tribal people, and by this time acts were introduced by the Britishers that these tribal people, they need to register themselves in the nearest police station or thana, and every month they need to give their presence. They need to submit that if they are still there in the area or not. Why? Because to control the movements of the tribal people, and to see if any illegal activity is going on in the forest area or not, to stop that particular thing, East India Company introduced this act. They used to call it a criminals act. Why? Because they considered that tribal people, as they're not following the laws, so they were named as criminals. So it shows that how East India Company started treating tribals as criminals, as if they have committed a crime to be a nomadic herder. So that's why Koya uprising. In 1910, Bastar revolt was there by the tribals of Jagdalpur against the new feudal and forest levies, because a feudal system was introduced. So the local hierarchy was disturbed, and you know that how tribal people, they have elders in their society. They treat elderly in a very different way. They treat kids in a different way. So a lot of issues got started in this area. Then in 1914 to 1919, we have Tana Bhagat movement, and Tana Bhagat movement was a movement from the Chota Nagpur. So Chota Nagpur area, tribals of Chota Nagpur, they were led by a very important leader, Jatra Bhagat, Jatra Bhagat and Balaram Bhagat. So Jatra Bhagat and Balram Bhagat, they both led it, and they revolted against the interference of outsiders. Outsiders means people coming out of the forest area, like money lenders, or you know people associated with Christian missionary activities, Hindu money lenders, company people. So all of them were known as dikus. Sometimes we use the word dikus also, or outsiders. Okay, I hope everything is clear. Yes, there is a question by Bachit stall. You have asked that please notify the PYQs in tribal movements. See, we have already covered a different live lecture in which I have covered all the PYQs. and there I have discussed 9 years PYQs. The video is already present on the channel of the Sunya IAS. Just go to the playlist, or not playlist, just go to the live section. There you'll find my video. So that's why I have not included the PYQs again in the session, because there is already a session. Okay, it was uploaded. So kindly just watch it, and still I'll try to have few PYQs added with this particular chapter, so that you get a good idea. But for understanding, let me just tell you that how the pattern is, that when they ask you about any of the tribal uprising or civil uprising, they just want you to know the name of the leader, area, and the purpose of that particular uprising. So just try to remember that, as I have already repeated it many times, that similar causes, reasons, and situations were there with all those uprisings, and with all these uprisings, similar ending was there. So that never needs to be repeated. Only these unique points written in this table is important for you, nothing else. Now come to the next year, 1921 to 22. Here we had Chenchu's uprising. Chenchu's uprisings, they were from tribals of Nallamala Hills, and these people were led by K. Hanumanthu. K. Hanumanthu revolted against the British forest laws, because Britishers divided the forest area and they covered the most important forest lands and timber lands into the reserved area. So they just thought that if there is a best part of forest, and if it is a good resourceful zone for timber and for other productions, then they used to declare it as the reserved forest area, so that nobody is getting the access to that particular zone, and without permission nobody could enter or collect woods, or to even collect the fruits or leaves. Villagers were not allowed to enter in the reserved forest area, which created a lot of disturbance. Okay, it created a lot of problem. Now, in year 1922 to 24, the last tribal uprising was Rampa Rebellion. Rampa Rebellion, it was led by Alluri Sitaraman Raju of Koyas and Andhra Pradesh against the British interference. In the northeastern frontier, we again saw few tribal movements. Okay, in 1828 to 33, Ahom's revolt was there. Okay, in Assam, against non-fulfillment of the Britishers' promise to leave their region after Burmese war. If you remember, Burma wanted to expand in the northeastern areas. It was expanding westward. So, as Burma was expanding westward, we covered it in the map of the last class that it will come towards the northeast. So, in case they come and penetrate in the northeast area, then they may have clash with Britishers. So, it happened at that time. Why? Because see, Britishers were also expanding. So, in the northeast region, the clash was there, and there were three Anglo Burmese wars. So, when they reached till the borders of Assam and the Brahmaputra Valley, Assam and Brahmaputra Valley, then the real clash and problem got started. And here, Britishers, came here to help and secure the regions of the Ahom tribal people. But after the victory in the Burmese wars, Britishers just captured it and they were not going away. So it created a lot of problem, because they thought that Britishers will go away after the war, after the Anglo-Burmese war. But in the Assam area, Britishers, they never went away, and the promise was not kept by the Britishers, and it was a general character of Britishers that they never used to keep their promises. Now let's come to the year 1830. In 1830's time, we saw that there was a Khasis revolt. Khasis revolt, it was led by Tirath Singh in the hills of Jayantia and Garo. It was against the occupation of their region. Okay, against the occupation of their region. Now come to the 1830. In 1830s, we also had Singpho's rebellion. Singpho's rebellion was in Assam against the capture or occupation for their region by the Britishers. As we have already discussed, that Britishers during the Anglo-Burmese War, they had seen the importance of Northeast, and it was not just because of their intention to see. When they understood that they are having so many competitors like France and Russia, and France, Russia, and other Europeans, right? So basically, all these European powers, they wanted to have some monopoly and dominance in Southeast Asia. So when Britishers captured India in the bordering states like in Burma, Bhutan, Nepal, Britishers understood that there is a chance that a Franco-Russian invasion could happen. And that's why Britishers thought that to avoid this situation, they should capture the bordering states also. And that's why so many Anglo wars happened, which we have already covered in last class. So it led to a feeling to have more territories getting conquered under them, and to capture those areas. Now come to the next one. Here in 1920s we again had a revolt. Here it is known as Zeliang Song movement. Zeliang Song movement, it was by the tribes of Manipur. It was against the failure of the British to protect them during Kuki violence. Okay, Kuki violence. Now, next one is in 1905 to 31. It was the Naga movement by the tribal people of Manipur, and they were led by Jadonang against British rule, and they wanted to form Nagaraj. Okay, Nagaraj. So, Jadonang, Nagaraj, and Naga movement. Remember this here. Very easy to remember that Nang is coming. So, just remember like this: Nag movement, Jadonang. Okay, and wanted to establish Nagaraj. Okay, in the Manipur area. So, they were the people coming from the Manipur area. Now, we have some important civil uprising, civilians like general people, general public. So why these people now started rebellions? See, these rebellions are having a very regional characteristic. The nationalism and the feeling of oneness was still not there in India. So many of them had their own regional issues, sometimes because of their own geographical location or climatic conditions. So in these area, you will see that most of the time the taxation was a big issue, and unemployment was a situation in all over the country. So yes, it came as a big challenge in in front of Indians, and that's why it led to a lot of revolts and rebellions. So Sannyasi revolt is a very famous revolt, very famous uprising. Why it is known as sannyasis? Basically, there were many sannyasis in the Bengal area, fakirs also. In sannyasis are from the Hindu religion, and fakir are from the Islamic religion. So many of the Sufi sants, Sufi saint, sannyasis, fakirs, they started getting lesser alms, lesser donations. And why? Because there was a situation of unemployment in the Bengal area. So these people, when they understood that our uh, our masses are suffering, and there is some problem in the society, that the society is not good enough to treat their sannyasis and yogis in a good way, then they participated here in this particular revolt, and that's why it became a sannyasi revolt. So the name sannyasi comes here because just these religious gurus, sannyasis and yogis joined it, and that's why sannyasi revolt. So the sannyasi revolt, it was in a late 18th century rebellion. It was in Bengal, India, in Murshidabad and Bekuntapur forest area, Bekuntapur of Jalpaiguri. It was under the leadership of Pandit Bhavani Charan Pathak. So Pandit Bhavani or Pandit Bhavani, you can write like this. You can write B also or V also. Okay. So Pandit Bhavani Charan Pathak was the leader, and in the 18th century, the sannyasis who rose here against the English, they were not always individuals who had given up the worlds. Means in this particular revolt, they were not only sannyasis, so many people coming from general masses, general people living in the mainstream society, they also joined it, and they also had this particular mindset of removing Britishers from their area. But sannyasis, they joined it, and they had a very good push in this particular revolt, and that's why it is important. Okay, the uprising were marked by equal participation by Hindus and Muslims. Now, next one is the revolt in Midnapur and Dhalbhum. This is again a very important revolt. So, from 1766 to 74, it was there, and uh, in cases of dispute between the Rayat and the English revenue collecting authorities, these people started this revolt because, see, people, they were not much educated, and illegal dues used to be imposed on them. So collecting authorities used to be very, very ruthless and strict sometimes. So because of their rude behavior or rudeless attitude, you can say that you know these revolts got started, right? Because there is a saying that if you'll ask it with a smile or with a goodwill, you will get everything. But if you'll just fight for it and will disrespect someone, then you won't get the same thing. Okay, so here the same problem was there. The zamindars of Midnapur sided with the rayats in this situation. Okay, by the 1800s, the zamindars of Dhalbhum, Manbhum, Raipur, Panchet, Jaitibhuni, okay, Karnagad, Bagari, who lived in the huge jungle mahals of the west and northwest Midnapur. They had lost their zamindaris. Okay, Damodar Singh and Jagannath Dhal were the key figure in these uprisings. So you need to remember these two names whenever we will talk about the revolt in Midnapur and Dhalbhum. Okay, so you can see that many of the civil uprisings, they are against the taxes, revenue, increased revenue or illegal dues, strict ways to collect the revenue, ruthless attitude, bad attitude towards the civilians. So civilians are fighting for their right because they were paying the tax to the government, but they never had any representation or saying. So this is a huge issue. So many important civil uprisings happened due to this. Now next was the revolt of Muammariyas from 1769 to 99. Okay, this is the time period. So in this civil uprising, the significance is that Muammariyas, there was a insurrection in 1769, and it was a powerful threat to the authority of Assam's Ahom monarch. Okay, Assam's Ahom monarch. So they wanted to remove the Ahom monarch. Now the Muammariyas, they were low caste peasants, and they followed a different leader. Okay, they followed Aniruddha Dev's teaching. So Aniruddha Dev was there from 1553 to 1624. But after his death, people started following his teachings as a guru. Now, their growth paralleled that of the other North Indian low caste communities. They saw that the way other low caste communities are fighting for their rights, so they could also initiate something and decided to do the same. Okay, so their uprising weakened the Ahom, and they allowed others to assault the territory. So in this area, somehow, uh, you know you will see that this situation was a huge level of problem in the northeast area. Okay, so they weakened the Ahoms, and they allowed others also to come and to come inside the territory, because we saw that how during the Anglo-Burmese war the access was given to the Britishers. So despite the fact that the Ahom kingdom survived, the uprising also was going on. So somehow Ahom kingdoms, and they had the clash, but yes, Ahom kingdom was still there, but it was a devastating effect on them. Okay, however, you will see that they will not get anything after the Burmese invasion, because Burma invaded northeastern India, and then Britishers came when they promised that they will leave the area after the Anglo-Burmese war, but Britishers never left it. So Britishers always, got it forever, and eventually the entire area fell under the British authority. So it was of no use for any of the Indian tribal. Now come to the civil uprising in Gorakhpur, Basti and Bahraj. It was in 1781. Okay, now here in this area the significance is, in order to pay for the war against the Marathas and Mysore, because a lot of money was getting drained. And if you look at the Mysore area, Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan, they were so skillful and diplomats that they used to neutralize Marathas and Nizam of Hyderabad every time. So Britishers, they understood that it's like a drain of wealth from their side if they invest a lot in this area. Now they already wanted it and they already poured a lot of money. So to recover that, Warren Hastings, he had a scheme. Okay, he wanted to employ English officers as ijaradars. Ijaradars means revenue farmers. If you remember, the Ijaradar system, it was a system, Ijaradari, revenue farming, which was started by a later Mughal ruler. So I told you the name. However, the finance minister Zulfikar Khan only, initiated this. It was the idea of Zulfikar Khan. But you need to tell me the name of that later Mughal ruler who started this system, Ijaradari system. Okay, so you tell me the name of that ruler, because I discussed it with you. Even if you guys are watching it recording, okay, as a recorded video, still you guys can comment down and tell me the name of that later Mughal ruler. Okay, so ijaradar, revenue farmers. Okay, they were introduced here in this system. What happens is, if there is a fallow land which is uncultivated, so at this particular land, if the farmer is not capable enough to cultivate it, then that farmer could give it to the government, and the government officials, they do the farming to get the revenue and to help the agricultural resources and production, so the productivity will also increase and revenue will be on time. And that's why this system was introduced. And in 1781, zamindars and farmers, they revolted against the oppressive taxes. Within weeks, you will see that Hani's subordinate, the EIC subordinates, they were either slain or besieged by the zamindari guerrilla troops, because Indians were very very angry and anxious. So there was a heavy level of guerrilla uprising by these civilians, and they defeated many European officers. So European had to deploy a lot of new soldiers and a set of army to suppress this revolt in Gorakhpur, Basti and Behraj, which was in 1781. Now let's come to the next part or the table of civil uprising. There was a revolt of Raja of Vizianagaram. Vizianagaram Raja, he revolted in 1794. Why? Because see, everyone, if they had any kind of power or authority during the time of Indian rulers or Hindu rulers, after the arrival of EIC, they never wanted to share it with EIC or give up those claims because of the new administration of EIC. So as they never wanted to give up the claims, they wanted to secure their rights as they already had and secured it since the historical times. And that's why these people revolted. So the English and Anand Gajpati Raju, he was the monarch of Vizianagaram, they signed a deal in 1758. What was the deal? They wanted to jointly expel the French from the northern Sarkars. Okay, because if you remember, Britishers and French, they used to fight every time, right? They were enemies. So in this area also, it was like a deal. Now in 1793, the English captured the Raja and sentenced him to exile. Okay, why? Because see, the purpose was fulfilled till now. When there was no need of the Raja, so English just wanted to expel the Raja now and wanted him to exile with a pension. But Raja was not, happy with this. He wanted to rule, he wanted to have the power and position. but he was only getting the pension. So he was unhappy due to this particular system. So Raja was adamant in his refusal. He was saying that no, I don't want pension, but I want power. I want security. I want the region. I want the control. And that's why he refused. So in 1794, we will see that the Raja was killed in the fight at Padmanabham, and that's why, because of the death of the Raja, the entire Andhra Pradesh, district and that entire area came under the company control. So the company took control of the Vizianagaram after the death of the Raja. Okay, so this area, the Padmanabham area, is in the Andhra Pradesh district of Vishakhapatnam now. Okay, it is in Vishakhapatnam now. Okay, I hope you got the point. So you just need to remember this. Clear? Now let's come to the civil rebellion of Awadh. Civil rebellion in Awadh was in 1799. Okay, again it's a very important fact here. In Banaras, Wazir Ali Khan was there. Okay, if you remember, he is connected from the royal dynasty. So Wazir Ali Khan was given pension and his power was taken away. However, in January 1799, he assassinated George Frederick Cherry, who was a British citizen. Why? Because see, he never wanted to lose his power and he was just waiting for an opportunity. He was extremely angry from inside. So when George Frederick Cherry, invited him, he just killed and and then Wazir Ali's soldiers also killed the two other Europeans and they assaulted the Benares magistrate also. Okay, so now this is a kind of massacre, you can see, right? Entire episode became known as the Banaras massacre. So in prelims they may ask you that what do you mean by Banaras massacre? So remember that the civil rebellion which happened in Awadh after the murder of a murder of George Frederick Cherry, which was by Wazir Ali Khan. This term became very famous as Banaras massacre in this area. After this, Wazir Ali was able to raise a force of many thousand soldiers, but General Erskine was able to beat them, and ultimately Britishers suppressed this revolt. Okay, so this was the importance. Now come to the Kutch or Kutch rebellion. Okay, in 1816 to 32 we had this. Don't worry, we only have few more slides remaining. I'll just show you so that you don't leave the class and stay here. We just need to cover 3 more slides and then all the uprisings would be covered. Let me just show you that around 7 to 8 names are remaining. One is this Kutch rebellion, and then Paika rebellion is big, but we will cover it very quickly. Don't worry. We have Baghera rising, a home revolt, and then we will have Surat salt agitation, Wahhabi movement, which was a Muslim movement. So only these few points are left. So just have some patience and remember, whenever we get some topic which is extremely informative and demanding in the approach, when you need to memorize things again and again, then it is a boring topic, right? But you see, there is the real exam, you know, that's the real test of your patience and your perseverance, that how you will hold your mind, right? Because see, many of the students, they when they joined this live class, when they understood that this topic is not very interesting and there is no storytelling and there is nothing very exciting about it, so it's just a factual and informative video, many of them decided to skip it or watch it later, or they will just listen it sometimes. So this is something which you need to understand, that when you give up on something, then you must see that so many competitors, like so many aspirants, they will take this decision. So what difference it needs to be there in your perspective, that you stay and you complete it because others are not doing, so you will be getting extra marks. So as it is a competitive exam, you will score higher, you will score more, and that will give you an extra edge. So whenever it is difficult and tough for you, then this is the time where you need to be strong and make yourself understand that as it is important, I need to cover it anyhow, because I don't want to break my chain. There is a cycle, there is a chain going on, right? As it is a live lecture series. So you need to be very, very uh, patient, and you need to be concentrated that anyhow, even if you don't like the topic or the chapter, still you need to complete it, okay, with a full dedication. Come to this new civil uprising which was in the Kutch. So Kutch or Kutch rebellion in 1816 to 32, it was there. It was a long period of time. So in the Kutch area, we know that how this area is. So the British, they meddled in the Kutch's internal feuds. Why? Because in this area, internally the coastal people, they had some problems. So why Britishers came here? Because they wanted to control the location. Why? Because see, to have a good location for trade and commerce, exchange of goods, it would be great for them. So they started prompting Raja Bharmal to what? To gather Arab and African forces in 1819. Okay, so Raja Bharmal II and Raja Bharmal II and Arab and African forces in 1819, they came together, and the goal was of driving the Britishers out of his realm, the area of Kutch, the coastal land especially. So, after him, in favor of his newborn son, the British defeated and removed the Kutch monarch Rao Bharmal. Okay, Rao Bharmal. And the Regency Council was established. Regency Council's administrative innovations came in this area along with excessive land valuation. They sparked the significant dissatisfaction in this area, and that's why this uprising was there again and again. So that's why Kutch or Kutch Rebellion. Next is the rising at Bareilly. It was in 1816. Okay, 1816, when Mufti Muhammad Awaz, he was the leader here. He was a very, very respected person. He was a revered old man. Okay, and he was the one who pensioned the town magistrate in. He was a pensioned town magistrate basically in 1816. So he was a respected man. So now, when he came in this picture, he was a person that he is like a disputed person now. And in this particular scenario, you see that Mufti Muhammad Awaz uh, had followership. So of course a religious dispute was there, and you know that communal violence and communal problems, they came highlighted during the time of British Raj. So the scenario became even worse when a lady was hurt by police while collecting taxes. So Mufti's supporters and the police, they got into a brutal brawl as a result of this incident. Within 2 days following the incident, armed Muslim from Pilbhit area and Sahajanpur area and the Rampur area, okay, they all came together. They rose up in a revolt and they wanted to defend the faith of the Mufti. That Mufti is like a leader. He is like a local religious leader. So Mufti is like a guru in Hindi. You can say that a guru, like how we worship gurus and pandits in the Hindu religion. Similarly, in the Muslim religion, they were worshipped. So the revolt could only be put down with the strong deployment of military troops, which resulted in deaths of over 300 insurgents, as well as there was a lot of disabilities and woundings and imprisonments of many leaders of that particular area. So yes, it was a problematic dispute and a problematic fight. I hope you got the point. Yes, Viresh, you are right that Jahandar Shah was the later Mughal ruler. Okay, that's fine. Very, very good. Neha, you have asked about the leader. See, when there is no leader, no, like in Chuar or in any of the uprising, if we see that the leader is not there, or when we have multiple leaders, then we don't need not to mention them in the table, flowchart, or in the exam also. UPSC will only ask you about the leaders who played a very significant role or who used to be the main leader in any of the tribal revolt. So that's why there are many of the uprisings and rebellions where the name of the leader is not mentioned. Okay, now come to the civil uprising. Civil uprising in the Paika area. So Paika rebellion was in the 1817 area. So Pikes are from Odisha. Okay, so Odisha area, you know how it is. Now, see, understand people who used to get employment during the Indian rulers as having something to do in the military services or in any other office department, they were so happy as they got something. But now when Britishers came, they had their own ways of administering things. So they started their own offices and posts and occupational skills and developmental things like that. So if we talk about the Odisha area, here the pikes used to be there, and they were traditional landed militia, means the foot soldiers, like freelancer soldiers. So if you remember, do you know the thing which we discussed about Pindaris? I hope you remember Pindaris. Tell me if you remember who were Pindaris. They were associated with whom? They were associated with which dynasty or which area? We discussed this last week. So I hope you remember. Yes, they were associated with Marathas. So Marathas used to hire Pindaris. Okay, Marathas used to hire Pindaris. Now, in this particular area, the Pikes were from the Odisha. Okay, and they used to join the army whenever payment used to come, right? So according to the payment for money, they used to join the army of those regional leaders or rulers. So these people, they had some hereditary land tenures. Okay, so they were having some rights, they got few lands because of their services. So in exchange for their military duty and policing tasks, they got some hold on the lands. So the land tenures were there. These hereditary land tenures, they got destroyed by English East India Company. So Bakshi Jagbandhu Vidyadhar, a very, very important leader, he was the one who was the military commander, and he led this revolt, and he used to be the military commander of Raja of Khurda's army. So he became very offended. He was very much offended by this particular scenario when the Pikes are not getting their lands anymore. The company, when they took away Jagbandhu's ancestral estate of Killa Rorang in 1814, then he understood the real problem. Okay, and he was the one who had a good level of respect land and a property in his area, and he was the one who used to take care of the Kilarurang. So he was having this power and prestige, but now the responsibility was also not there. So he was a complete destituted person. So now he just thought to initiate something against Britishers, and there was the entry of group of Khons also from the Gumsur. So they came into Khurda territory in March 1817, and then they gave it a more fire spark. They lit the fuse. Now, still, you will see that when they all got united, the power will only increase. So, Paika Bidroh was the name given to this insurrection. Okay, means this Vidroho. Paika Bidroho means Vidroho. B here is V, because in Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, they don't say V, they say B. Okay, they call V is equal to B for them, and that's why they use this word like this. So Paika Bidroh was the name given to the this insurrection for a time. The rebels, if we say about these people, the rebels were there, and the rebels' early success. galvanized the whole province of Odisha against the British administration. The Paika rebellion was successful in obtaining huge remissions of arrears, okay, and reduction in assessments, and a moratorium on the sale of defaulters properties at will, a new settlement on permanent tenures, and other liberal governance adjacents. Okay, so now these problems were there, and that's why the pikes came in the picture. Yes, it was getting something, a negotiation happened, a high level of tax was forgiven for them, a high level of reduction of money, a high level of amount was there. Okay, and they got a kind of you can say a relief because of this rebellion. So you can say the properties, will, new settlements, a good level of tenure, a good level of liberal governance was introduced in the area. So we can remember this, that it's a unique part where a kind of a small success was witnessed, right? A small success was witnessed in this particular uprising. Okay, Paix. Now, Waghera rising from 1818 to 20. So, Waghera leader was Okha Mandal. Okay, Okha Mandal is the leader, and Okha Mandal, in the lead, Okha Mandal is not the leader, but the leaders of Okha Mandal basically. And in this area of Okha Mandal, Mandal means a kind of a block which is made by arrangement of different villages. So a group of villages is known as a mandal. Okay, so Okha mandal is a group of village, and in this area the Waghera leaders were there. So Wagheras, they on the Okha mandal area, they were forced to take up arms. Why? Because something happened due to the resentment of alien authority. So the demands of Gaikwad of Baroda came to them, and they used to get some backing by the British administration. So during the years of 1818 and 1819, these Wagheras, they made incursions into the British territory, and in November 1820 a peace deal was concluded, and then the authority in that area uh, reduced, and they had few negotiations with the East India Company. Now come to the Ahom revolt, which was in 1828. So 1828, after the first Burma war, if you remember the date, from 1824 to 26 the first Burma war happened. In the first Burma War, we saw that Britishers entered in this area. They promised to leave Assam, but they were not leaving. Instead of leaving it after the conflict, Britishers tried to absorb the Ahoms region also under the company's rule, and they wanted to capture it. So this triggered the revolt in 1828 led by Gomdhar Kumwar. Gomdhar Kumwar was the Ahom prince, and his countrymen started revolting. There was one more leader, Dhananjay Borgohain and Jairam Khagadia. So Dhananjay and Jairam also came in this particular revolt. So Jairam Khagadia's Fukan is the name, the full name. So remember these three names: Gomdhar Kunwar, Dhananjay Bargohain, and Jairam Khagadia. Okay, so remember this. Okay, this is very very important. The rebel formally installed Gomdhar Kunwar as the king at Jorhat. Okay, he got a lot of power back again, and that's why this is a success. It is still a small success, but very important. Okay, finally, company adopted a conciliatory stance, and they negotiated. They gave up the upper Assam, and they got out of it, and they just went away. They gave this area to Maharaja Purandhar Singh Narendra, and reunited the Assamese ruler with a portion of his realm. So it's a good success that Ahoms were able to get something in this particular part. But later, after defeating Burma completely, after all three Anglo-Burmese wars, Britishers will capture this area in the final stage. Okay, but this is a small success which is discussed in this table. I hope you got the point. I'll try to take classes on art and culture also. Don't worry. Okay, Viresh, I'll try my best to, include other chapters, books, and details with you. But right now, I'm just focused on spectrum. Once I complete it, then I'll come to the next book or any new subject. Okay, we will initiate it. Don't worry. Come to the next one, civil uprising. The next one is the Surat salt agitation. It was in 1840. Okay, so why it is very important? Because here, this is something which is very unique and different from other civil uprisings. What happened that in 1844 there was a strong anti-British feeling, okay, against Europeans, and it was by local Surat population. So government wanted to raise the salt levy, okay, the salt tax. So salt tax was increased from 50 paisa to 1 rupee. So it's like making it double. At that time the value of 50 paisa was there. Okay, if you have seen, how many of you see, you have seen that coin of 50 paisa? It is not in circulation anymore, but I have seen it in my childhood. You must have seen it maybe in your childhood. I have seen 25 paisa also, but it was not in much of the use when I saw it, but 50 paisa use I saw. So if you have seen it, let me know. And 50 paisa used to be there, but the administration dropped the extra salt fee in response to public outcry. In 1848 the government was compelled to cancel its plan to implement Bengal standard weights and measures in the face of persistent campaign of boycotting and passive resistance by the people. Okay, so this was because of salt monopoly, and later on you will see that these kind of things will be highlighted by Dandi March, right? Because in Dandi March also Mahatma Gandhi wanted to stop the salt tax, right? So the administration dropped the extra salt fee in response to the public outcry, and they cancelled the plan to implement the Bengal standard weights and measures also, because people they used to follow their own local standard weights and measures in this area, and the Bengal standard weights and measures were introduced by Britishers. So Britishers wanted it to be everywhere in this entire zone of India, and that's why, for their own convenience, they wanted it to be there, like in the Gujarati area. So people started the agitation. Next is the Wahhabi movement. It is related to the Islamic tradition, where if you talk about many of the Hindus, they don't like the westernization. They are against westernization. They want their own Sanatan Dharma to persist and prevail. And they feel like if people are doing something which is, uh, you know, influenced by Europeans and English, then that's wrong. It's very unreligious. So, similarly, the same feeling could be with the Islamic people also. So, Muslims in India, they understood that Muslims and their culture is getting destroyed due to westernization, and they wanted to convert this land of Dar ul Harb to Dar ul Islam. Why? Because they used to call it the land of kafirs. Kafir means someone who is out of the religious path, who is kafir, like भटका हुआ. Okay, so भटक जाता है, जैसे कोई इंसान कहीं जाता है. Okay, if you have a destiny to reach, but अगर आप रास्ता भटक जाओ और कहीं और जाने लगो, तो आप क्या बन गए? काफिर, राइट? एक होता है मुसाफिर. तो मुसाफिर इज द वन हु इज गोइंग to have a journey and having a destiny in his mind. But kafir is like very much pathless and having no idea to what to do and where to go. So he will never reach to the destination. So They wanted to understand this problem in the Islamic tradition, that how they are getting influenced, and to reduce the influence of westernization and other dominations in India. They started this Wahhabi movement. It was by Sayyid Ahmad of Rai Bareli. Okay, so Sayyid Ahmad of Rai Bareli, and he was influenced by the teachings of Saudi Arabia's, Abdul Wahab. And from 1703 to 87, Abdul Wahab was there, and Delhi's Shah Waliullah was there. Okay, they formed the Wahhabi movement, which was primarily an Islamic revivalist movement. Okay, and Sayyid Ahmad denounced the Western influence on Islam and called for a restoration to genuine Islam and society as it was in Arabia of Prophet's day. Okay, Prophet's day. So they wanted to have this Prophet's day with, you know, a good uh, celebration. They wanted to restore the genuine Islamic society, genuine Islamic principles. That's why we call it a revivalist movement. Revival means what? When you don't reform or initiate a new structure to the thing. When you go with the same structure but with a new flow, with a new form. Okay, sorry. So I hope you got the point. So we will discuss few reformist and revivalist movement, where you will see a complete change of form and sometimes a small touch of revive, or a no, or a new value, or a new newness if introduced. Like for example, if you have a piece of cloth, and if the cloth is very dirty, so there is one, there are two ways to handle it. If the cloth is dirty, you can just completely change the form by, you know coloring it with a new color, or you know cutting it in a different way, or making something out of it, or use it not just as a cloth but as a duster, or for with something else, or for some other purpose. So what you have done, you have reformed it. Now it's not a cloth but it's a duster. Okay, the cloth is in a form of duster getting used. So this is reformation. But if you just wash the cloth, press it, iron it, then that is new again, looks like new again. That is revival. Okay, revival. So reformist and revivalist, these two types of movements were there. So we will discuss these movements in the next class, where socio-religious reform movements are going to be there. So I hope you will read it before coming to the live class tomorrow, and I hope these tables helped you in saving a lot of time, because the chapter was extremely big and so many content was there. It was something which was very hard to be covered in a live class, but I have tried it with the help of these tables. So I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed the class. Okay, and I can see that there are no doubts. You guys have seen 5 paisa, 10 paisa, 20 paisa, 25 paisa also. That's very very great, Vishal Tripathi. So well done, Vishal. I hope you guys liked it. Please share it more and more, because I want attendance to be increased in the classes. I want that live audience, they are increasing every day. I don't want it to be reduced. So you can only do it by sharing it with your, classmates and other friends, and on your social medias, wherever you are, whatever you use, you can try to circulate the links. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you then. Take care. Bye bye.